The silence beneath the locky to 46 a.m. The lake went still, no breeze, no insects, no sound at all. And when the diver resurfaced, he was alone. The other two were gone, and the only thing he remembered was the sound of knocking beneath the water. Some places don't. Echo sound. They swallow a dot in under Stillwater Lake. They say something is always listening. Stillwater Lake lies in northern Maine, remote, cold, deceptively calm. It stretches 3 miles across and dips to over 200 feet deep at its center. The town of Norbridge hugs its southern edge. Population under 1,000. Most people here fish, hike, or keep to themselves. But if you ask the locals about the lake, they'll tell you not to go out after dark. No swimming, no night fishing, and absolutely no diving. They won't say why. Just that things beneath the surface don't like to be disturbed. The events we're about to recount took place in the summer of 2016. 3 college friends, Ryan Calder, Maria Lee, and Daniel Owens, were visiting Maria's family cabin by the lake. All experienced divers, all trained, and all in search of something unusual. Daniel had heard the rumors that the bottom of Stillwater wasn't just mud and rock, but a submerged structure. An old settlement or ruins from before the lake was artificially expanded in the 1920s. The 3 friends set out just before midnight on August 12th. Their plan, a night dive. What they found, none of them were prepared for. The dive started smoothly. GoPros mounted, lights fixed to their vests. Each wore a full suit and oxygen rig rated for deep, cold water. Around 50 feet, fish became scarce. At 100 feet, everything grew silent. Their calms buzzed with static. Even their own breathing sounded far away. Then at 132 feet, they saw it. A stone archway cracked, tilted sideways, covered in algae and silt. Daniel shined his light through the opening. Beyond it, a tunnel leading downward. Ryan hesitated, but Maria signaled they should go a few feet in, just to see. They entered. The tunnel sloped down for 20, maybe 30 feet, then opened into what looked like a chamber, rounded, with strange markings along the walls impossible to read. Ryan turned to signal Daniel, but Daniel was gone. No bubbles, no movement, just gone. Maria signaled to ascend, fast, but as they turned, something knocked. A slow, deliberate tapping from below. They looked down. Nothing. Then the knock came again. Closer. Ryan bolted. He didn't care about safety stops. Just swam. When he surfaced, Maria wasn't behind him. Rescue divers searched for 2 days. No sign of Maria. No sign of Daniel. Ryan was hospitalized with decompression sickness. By the time he could speak clearly, he told authorities what he remembered. There was something down there, not just ruins, something watching, and it wanted us to go deeper. A week later, Maria's dive vest washed up on the north shore, still zipped, oxygen tank intact, no tears, no blood. But inside the vest pocket was something strange, a piece of dark stone, roughly oval, covered in tiny etchings. No one could identify the language. The dive footage was reviewed. It showed the stone archway, the tunnel. But right before Daniel vanished, the footage glitched, and just for a frame less than a second, a figure appeared. Pale, elongated limbs, eyes like lanterns, floating upside down. Ryan dropped out of school that fall, moved to Arizona, changed his name. He never went near water again. In a final interview, he said something no one could explain. When I close my eyes, I still hear it, the knocking. But now it's coming. coming from under my floor. Skeptics point to cave hallucinations, nitrogen narcosis, and panic as the likely cause. But local divers who've explored still water say it's different from anywhere else. Sound doesn't carry the same weight. Time feels off, and some believe the lake covers more than just a forgotten settlement. They think something was sealed beneath it long ago, something ancient. And the stone archway wasn't just a ruin, that it was a door. Will you dive into a lake that has no echo? Have you ever heard knocking from below? If this story gave you chills, subscribe for more true horror encounters. And if you ever find yourself at Stillwater Lake, remember, when the water goes quiet, don't make a sound, something is listening. Do not answer at 3:17 a.m. 3:17 a.m. The phone rings, you answer, and all you hear is your own breathing, except you're not breathing, not anymore. Sometimes are cursed, sometimes are warnings. And then there's 3:17 a.m. Not quite night, not yet morning. A time when the world is too quiet, too still. When something ancient and listening seems closer than it should be. They say you should never answer the call, because once you do, something else knows you exist. This story begins in 2009 in a suburb just outside of Minneapolis, Minnesota. A quiet cul-de-sac where the most exciting thing to happen that year was a stray coyote sighting. Lauren Miles was a 23-year-old college student home for winter break. She lived with her parents and younger brother Aiden, a normal family, a normal neighborhood. Nothing out of place, except for the call. It came on December 19th, 3:17 a.m. Lauren had been up late studying in her room, headphones and lights off except for her desk lamp. The phone vibrated. A known number, no name. She didn't pick up the first time, but it called again and again. Then the house phone started ringing, and that's when she picked up. Hello, silence. Then a voice, low, hoarse, broken. Don't let it in. Lauren paused. Who is this? The voice replied, it's outside. She hung up, went to the window. Nothing. Not at first. But when she turned off her desk lamp and let her eyes adjust, she saw it, a shape, just at the edge of the yard, too tall, too thin, motionless. She watched it for nearly a minute, then the phone rang again. Same number. Don't open the door. The voice said, it wants to use your name. This time, Lauren didn't say anything. She just stared at the phone, heart pounding. Downstairs. The doorbell rang. She woke up her parents. Her dad grabbed a baseball bat. Her mom called 911. But when the police arrived, there was no one outside. No footprints in the snow. No sign of a break-in. They told the family it was probably a prank. But Lauren couldn't shake it, especially because every night after that, at exactly 3:17 a.m., the phone rang again. She stopped answering, blocked the number, even unplugged the landline. But one night, the call came through her laptop. It wasn't connected to any app, just a window that popped up with one line of text. Why won't you let me speak? She slammed the laptop shut, but from that night on, things started to change. Lauren began hearing her name whispered when no one else was around. Lauren from the sink drain, from her closet. Once from the reflection of her bedroom mirror. Aiden told their mom that someone kept waking him up at night to ask for his sister. She says her name wrong, he said, like she's practicing. One night, Lauren recorded the phone ringing and left it on speaker. The voice didn't speak this time. Just breathing. Then a whisper. The door is open. Lauren turned. Her bedroom door was wide open. She hadn't opened it, and standing just Behind the frame, barely visible, was a figure, pale, hairless, no mouth, just a long, narrow slit where its jaw should be, and a hole where its throat should have been. Her parents wanted to send her away, get her help, maybe a psych evaluation, but Lauren wasn't the only one. She found a forum, buried deep online. Threads dated as far back as 1998. All posted at 3:17 a.m. Call came again. It knows my voice. I answered, and now it lives in the mirror. Hundreds of users, all deleted, all anonymous, no trace of who they were. Except for one user, C317. They posted a single video for minutes long. The description just read, it's learning. The video, a girl sitting in her room, on the phone. Her voice quiet. I don't want to talk to you. Leave me alone. A beat, then a second voice, identical to hers. But I am you. The girl starts crying. Behind her, the closet opens just a crack, and something slides through it. The video cuts out. The account was deleted. Hours later, on January 6th, Lauren left her house in the middle of the night. No coat, no phone, no shoes. The front door was left wide open. Security footage from a neighbor's camera showed her standing in the street at 3:17 a.m., head tilted. Listening. Then she said her name out loud. Not once, not twice, 3 times, and then she was gone, never seen again. Bad those who say this was all a mental breakdown, paranoia, schizophrenia triggered by stress, but others aren't so sure, especially because in the years since, more cases like Lauren's have surfaced, people reporting calls at exactly 3:17 a.m., voices that sound familiar, but wrong. And disappearances with no leads, no trace. The one thing they all have in common, they answered the phone, and they spoke their name. What do you think happens when you answer a call that shouldn't exist? If you've ever gotten a call in the middle of the night, did you answer? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoy true horror stories like this one, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a midnight tale. But if your phone rings at 3:17 a.m., don't pick up. Because once it hears your name, it never stops calling. She's still under the bed. I swear I saw her eyes, staring back at me from the darkness beneath the bed. But when I screamed and my dad turned on the lights, there was no one there. The closet was closed, the windows locked, but the whisper I heard next, it said, "Don't let them see me." They're stories we tell to children to keep them from straying too far from their beds at night. But some stories aren't meant to be warnings, some are reminders. She was under the bed then. And some say she still is. This story takes us to Pine Hollow, a small wooded town tucked into the northern edge of Vermont. Kind of place where everyone knows your name and strangers stick out like bare trees in winter. It was fall of 1997, and the Broderick family had just moved into their new home on the outskirts of town. A 2-story, Victorian with chipping, blue paint, creaking porch steps, and one too many rooms for a family of 3. Thomas and Claire Broderick, along with their 8-year-old daughter Emily, were hoping for a fresh start. Thomas had just taken a job teaching history at the local high school. Claire was painting again. And Emily, she was just happy to have a room all to herself for the first time in her life. But that room, it was never really hers, not entirely. Started with small things, as it often does. Emily began complaining about the girl under the bed. At first, Thomas and Claire chalked it up to imagination, maybe stress from the move. She doesn't talk much, Emily said one morning over breakfast, but she watches me at night. Claire tried to laugh it off. What does she look like, honey? Emily paused. Like me, but with no eyes. That night, Thomas checked under the bed. Just us bunnies and the creak of old wood. They read Emily a story, kissed her good night, and turned off the lights. That it was 2:13 a.m. when Emily screamed. Thomas rushed in first. The lamp on her nightstand had been knocked over. Emily was curled in the corner of the room, eyes wide with terror, whispering she doesn't want you to see her. Claire stayed with Emily the rest of the night, but from then on, the girl refused to sleep in her own bed. They tried everything: therapy, night lights, even a visit from a local priest. Though neither of the Brodericks were religious, that priest, Father Mathis, was the first outsider to believe something was truly wrong. After a brief blessing of the room, he returned to the living room, pale and shaking. "She's not a ghost," he said quietly. "I don't know what she is, but she's still under there." Claire demanded to know what he meant, but he simply shook his head and left. It wasn't long before other things began happening. Lights flickering with no electrical issues. Cold spots in Emily's room that made her breath visible even in July. Scratching noises beneath the floorboards that only happen at night. Thomas set up a camcorder in the room. Nothing fancy. Just a handheld Sony he used for family holidays. What he captured still hasn't been explained. The footage showed Emily sleeping peacefully. Then, at exactly 3:11 a.m., her body jolted upright. She didn't wake up. Her head turned toward the foot of the bed, slowly, mechanical, as if something else had moved it. Then faintly, a hand, pale, spindly, with long fingers, reached out from under the bed frame. It didn't touch her, just hovered near her ankle, then withdrew. The footage cut out. Thomas tried to brush it off as a glitch. Claire wasn't so sure. She begged him to leave the house. Emily started drawing the girl. Pages and pages of her, always from the knees up, never a full body. "She doesn't like when I draw her feet," Emily said one night. When asked why, Emily only whispered, "That's how she pulls people in." By mid-October, Emily was no longer speaking during the day, but at night her parents would hear her giggling softly from her room. One night, Thomas stood outside her door and listened. "You want me to come with you?" Emily said softly. Silence. "But I don't want to stay under there." The door creaked open. No one inside. Just a window cracked an inch and the smell of damp soil. Emily was gone. A statewide search was launched. Flyers, dogs, helicopters, but no signs, no forced entry, no footprints. Camcorder was found still recording on the floor. The last frame, the underside of the bed, and a pair of wide, white eyes staring back. Claire never forgave herself. She moved away from Pine Hollow a year later. She stopped painting, stopped talking to most people. Thomas stayed in the house for 3 more months. He insisted he needed closure. In his final journal entry dated January 4th, 1998, he wrote, "I heard her again last night, Emily. She said, 'Daddy, it's okay. I'm not scared anymore.' I got down on my knees to look under the bed. I think I saw her smile." Thomas Broderick disappeared the next night. To this day, the house on Wren Hollow Road remains abandoned. Locals avoid it. Some say you can still hear a child laughing inside. Others claim they've seen movement behind the upstairs window. There are theories, of course: sleep paralysis, mass hysteria, a tragic runaway case warped by grief and guilt. But none of those explain the footage, the journal, Or why, even after 25 years, people still whisper about the thing that lives under that bed. Some say it was a spirit, others call it a mimic, a shapeshifter, parasite that latches onto a child and pulls them into something we can't see. But here's the question no one wants to ask. What if she's still there, waiting, watching, smiling,